Good afternoon. Welcome to Paraspar Talk, organized by the Office of Communication, Indian Institute of Science. Today's session is a little different than our usual talks. Today we have a book discussion. Sacred Grounds, A Journey Through People's Football is among the few books dedicated to one of our country's most beloved sports. We are especially delighted that the author is our colleague at the Office of Communications. Before we begin, let me formally introduce our author and today's discussant. Sandeep Menon, who is the author of the book, is a journalist, author, educator, and independent researcher based in Bengaluru. An automobile engineer by training, he spent over a decade as a sports correspondent with the Deccan Herald, the Times of India, and the Deccan Chronicle. Over the years, he has also written on culture, gender, cinema, and music. He co-founded Injury Time, one of India's earliest podcasts dedicated to Indian football. Sandeep currently works as a senior editorial manager at the Office of Communications, Indian Institute of Science. Alongside this, he teaches as a guest lecturer at various institutions and continues to write for multiple publications. He is author of 2 books on Indian football, Out of the Blue, Bengaluru FC's 10-year Odyssey, and Sacred Grounds, A Journey Through People's Football in India. He will be in conversation with Arnab, convener of the IISc Football Club. Arnab is a 4th-year PhD student at the Department of Electrical Engineering and a passionate footballer since his childhood. Please join me in welcoming Sandeep and Arnab to the dais, which promises to be a very interesting discussion today. Arnab, discuss.
So, I will straight away get into the questions that I have after going through this book. So the first question I wanted to ask was that how did you came up with this idea to write this book, and especially that when cricket is very popular in India, how did you come up with an idea to write a book on football?
Yeah, first I have to say there's been so many events that my office has conducted here in this very famous old hall, so it's really nice to be one of them. The idea, okay, it's a very weird thing because I did journalism for so many years, and then around just before COVID, I was starting to think more about sports and sociology, sports and culture as a thing. During COVID, I had a conversation with a couple of very smart coaches in Indian football, asking about the idea about what style of football India should play, considering we are so different and so on. So the genesis was the early 2000s Ganguly's cricket team, because we all resonated, my generation at least, resonated a lot with them because it was a time of globalization and India was like, we are traveling abroad and this sort of, in the world, India was sort of growing. And we had this team who always went abroad and lost, suddenly standing up and, saying, okay, we're not bad, we'll go and play. So Ganguly takes off his shirt and twirls it in Lords and all that became seminal moments. So the idea was, what sort of football should Indian team play? In between all this, my wife is also a very smart person. So she used to keep telling me very random things. Like I'll talk about Celtic and Glasgow Rangers, the rivalry between the Catholics and the Protestants that is played out in Scotland and so on. And she'll have this long-winded answer about why Protestants are, the history of Protestants and history of Catholics. So I was like, I need to know more because I have to hold my own in this marriage. So I ended up reading a lot of books and so on, and basically from there it sort of started. And the idea being, India being so different, you can't have just one style, because we need to understand people in the northeast are different culturally to people in the south, and from the north to the east, the west, all this. So how do you sort of put this all together? That was the genesis.
Okay. My second question was, what was your experience while roaming around in India? You have gone through a lot of places, I think 10 states that you mentioned in this book. And any particular experience, any specific experience that you want to share with us that you were the unique experience that you have felt while traveling in India about football?
Yeah, so each place has its own charm, I guess. So I went and covered all the local flavors of football. So the Sevens in Kerala, Cape in Bengal, which is all these unofficial, small-sided style of football, because that's where the actual heart and soul is, right? There's not much money and investment and all these people watching and all that. So people who really care about football are there. So that was the idea. Experience wise, I at the moment didn't think it was quite something special. I landed in Shillong and I knew this guy's phone number because a player who I know from Shillong said this is my some relative. I landed, I called him, we met, and then he said we have to go 3.5 hours away from Shillong on some rickety roads to see this Basti football in his village in Makarwat. So I went with him. I didn't know him at all. I went with him, came back. After I came back, I was just thinking, oh, you just left with this guy who you had no idea, didn't know the language, the majority of the people spoke and all that. Later on, I thought that was brave. But at that moment, he was a very nice guy. He's one of my close friends now, and every time I go to Shillong, I meet him and things, his family as well. Otherwise, travel, I don't know, you just see such a different part of the world. So I'm from Kerala. So the stories and the culture and the landscape and the people and the discussions that happen in Northeast is so different from, say, Calcutta or Punjab. You just see suddenly so many different sort of landscapes, different ideologies that they sprout. The way they live their life is so. There is this great writer called Eduardo Galeano, who is I think he's a Uruguayan writer. So he wrote something similar to show me how you play and I'll show you who you are. About there's a football in the sun of the shadows, the book. So it's the same thing. So you go to Punjab and then the way they play is how they talk of themselves. Like we are strong, powerful people, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, that sort of idea. So they'll play that kind of very hard football and they'll defend. A lot of defenders come from Punjab. Because they feel a lot of defenders go to the army, a lot of Punjabis also are in the army. So you have sort of cultural reflection there. Kerala, you have very fast sort of players who play football. But because of the landscape, you have a lot of jumpers and sprinters from Kerala who produce top level, PT Usha and many others. And a lot of goalkeepers we produce because we have sprinters and jumpers. That is a natural tendency of the people in Kerala because of the landscape, because of the diet, which is quite high in protein and carbs. Similarly, you find these kind of reflections everywhere. Goa has this sort of Sesugad is the thing that they say. So Sosegad, I think. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. It's a local language word. It's a chill life that they want. So Goan players generally don't go out. They are quite happy, playing in their own backyard, making money, having their fish curry and whatever. Very few have actually gone and been successful, say in Calcutta or something. So you have these kind of interesting anecdotes that you pick up and you learn about the language and you learn about India as a whole and how different and what a sort of geographical marvel we are.
Okay, one more your personal question from you is like any football background that you had particularly that helped you writing this book or that helped you going through this journey, and particularly coming from an engineering background that motivated you go to this football journalism?
No, engineering was a mistake. There was no reason for me to do engineering other than it was like a thing that all Malayali boys did back in the 2000s. So that is a whole other side story. But no, I played football in the neighborhood and all that kind of stuff, maybe a little bit in college as well. But it was just something that you lived with. You see, my father used to come and used to play penalty shootouts in the house. And he would be like, I am Maradona or I am Batistuta and we'll kick the ball. That's just the environment that you grew up in. Your friends are always running around with the football, you play in front. So you play in front of your house, then you move to the streets just outside, then little bigger streets further outside, smaller ground, bigger ground, finally a big ground. So it was just part of your life every day. The whole point was to finish everything, 4 o'clock, go out and play, 6:37 you come back. So it's just everywhere in Kerala. And now the World Cup is coming, you'll see it even more. Like the whole hoopla, Argentina flags and Brazilian flags everywhere. So it's difficult not to be a fan of football in Kerala.
Yeah, I think while I was going through your book, I saw one interesting story about how you used to help the headmaster to play in their field.
Yeah,
it was a very interesting story.
That was so the idea of the book's name Sacred Grounds is not something that I came up with. I had some other name there, and when Penguin first reached out, I was not very enamored by the name, let's say. But then I went to do something back home, and I went to my old grounds, and then you realize, it makes sense because our neighborhood has a ground which is it's the high school ground. So we didn't have permission. So we went to the headmaster and said, can we play? In return, what we'll do is we'll water all the plants, even on the weekends. So it was like a barter system. So he allowed us to play. Once the bell is done, 4:30 everybody, or 4:30 everybody is left, you can go and play. And when he leaves, he'll see if all the plants have been watered. So that was our initial barter system. Then he left. The next headmaster was not keen on it. So we were like, okay, I don't know what to do now other than jump the fence once the headmaster leaves. So we did that. And that ground is like the central point for the entire area. So our elections happen in that ground. There is this Shabarimala season. We have a Ayyappan Valakku, which is a festival. That happens in the ground. There is a wedding, it becomes either a parking lot or it becomes a place for people to hang out. The wedding hall is right across. So sometimes in the evening, post all the festivities, there are extra food, they'll give it to us. They'll be like, these kids are playing anyway, come and have. So it becomes like this fundamentally important part for all of us. So for that festival and everything, Hindus are there, Christians are there, Muslims are there, there is no differentiations. So it became in some sense sacred for us. It may not be for everybody, right? It's for us. It's an educational hub, it's a political hub, it's a place where you earn your keep in your sort of area, where the younger children coming up, the older people who are playing football have to accept you as good enough to play with them, right? So you are playing for some sort of earning your keep sort of thing, right? Then you become a more famous guy, and then the people around know that he's a good player, that sort of thing. So it becomes huge. And as I travel, same thing happens in Manipur with the locality Lekai game. Same thing happens in Mizoram, in Punjab, in Tutur. So it becomes. So then I started loving the name. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Now next I will jump into some technical questions. Like one of the questions was Indian football. This mostly whatever you have put in the book is it mostly focus on the local communities rather than some big institutions. So I will ask, why do you think the grassroots culture has survived for a long time rather than this poor national infrastructure that we have in India? Why this grassroots culture is so much popular still now, at least in some particular states in India?
That's very interesting, because the first thing that happens is there is this phenomenon called the transculturalisation of sports. So basically you take a sport and then you make it your own. So the British gave us football, but the way Argentines play football or Brazilians play football is not the same as British. It depends on your culture, weather, environment, so many things. For example, Argentina has this huge love for a number 10. Number 10 is a creative midfielder who plays. If you go through their history, they have in 1930 or so, there was this El Gráfico period paper. They were trying to find out an ideology for that unites Argentina, which is a large immigrant nation, right? So they came up with an idea called Pibe. Pibe is a street urchin who's virtuous in his skills, cunning because he's playing on the streets, poor, black hair, stocky, so many of this description which fits Maradona perfectly. So they have this, because it's also a very strong Catholic or Christian nation, I think. They have this sort of deification of players that have happened since then, and it falls on that most creative, talented player. So you have Maradona, you had, since Maradona, you had Saviola, Riquelme, you had so many of these sort of legendary players up until Aymar and then Messi. So that 10 is their most important player, the creative guy. It comes from their culture. English players, it's a wide wingers. Because England is very rainy, the center part is often dirty. and clunky, and the ground is not good. The good side is on the far side, two ends. So the wingers are the ones who can actually run with the ball and cross and stuff like that. And they're very physical because you have to play long balls, all that kind of stuff. So you have different cultures, different countries who choose certain style of football. Brazil with the style, everybody is trying to dribble everybody in Brazil. So that it has that sort of reflection, right? So in India, what we have seen is these places have made football their own. So Kerala does not have large swaths of flatlands. So because we have paddy fields, during harvest there is that empty paddy field that you play football in or you play volleyball in. But it can only do 7-a-side because it's small. So you started playing sevens, and then it doesn't have grass grounds. That's not the culture of sevens. It has mud grounds and sometimes hard grounds and so on. So that we developed that kind of culture. Calcutta has their own. Bangalore has black tournaments, which is again shorter side. So we all develop our own versions of football. But in Punjab has lots of flatlands, so they play 11-a-side, long balls because tall people. Mizoram you can't play long balls because Mizoram is very hilly. If I kick the ball and it goes outside the ground, you're running behind the ball for 2 kilometers downhill. So none of them shoot. They all pass short pass. So they develop their style. So it becomes their own style, first of all. So that is reflected in the local games. And secondly, there is something to play for yourself. So sevens represents often villages. So there is a village in Malappuram called Adikode, and there is a Terattammal, which is another village which has a river in between called Chaliyar River. So these two people were separated by a river and they have this rivalry. It's like a sibling rivalry, like how you have a derby, right? Yeah. Two teams on the same side. So when they play against each other, it's this massive issue. Like I have to beat. Nobody wants to. You want to beat your brother and your friend harder than anybody else, right? That's when you play. So that kind of feeling is there. In other places like Mizoram, you play for your village. In Goa, you play for your church or parish. Tutur also you play for your church or parish. So in different places, you play for different things, and you are part of your community. So if I win for my church, I win for my village is more famous. So there is a guy called Romin Thanga in Mizoram, whose younger brother played for the national team. Changte is quite famous and quite successful. Romin Thanga, you will never hear about him on the top level because he is not very successful that way. But in Mizoram, he is beloved because he comes from this region where the airport is now, and he won the tournament for the YMA tournament, which is Young Mizo Association. That is an NGO. Every Mizo is part of that. You get, I think, some nominal money and then you're part of that. So they have inter-ward tournament, which is like their World Cup for them. Whoever wins is a huge deal. So these guys played, and he single-handedly sort of dragged his team to the final and won. This is before the airport is there now, so that part is famous anyway. This is before the airport and all coming, or when the airport was sort of coming up. So he is a superstar there. He's a left footer, so they all like a left footed player because it's so rare to see, very talented and skilled and all that. He had very bad knees, so he never played. So he goes to a team, he does well, he injures his knee 1 year, he's not playing, and then he'll retire. So these guys will go and say, can you please come back? And then he'll go and play, he's the best player of the year, and then he's again hurt his knee and again retired. So you have such characters and people telling stories of these kind of people who you see, right? I know about Messi's story, but I'm not seeing Messi. But I know Jitin, who plays near my house, or I know currently there is a guy playing in Ramglas, Punjab, Leon Augustine. He lived maybe half a kilometer away from me. So I know of him and I know where he played, I know people who know him, so there is that connection and all this. So that makes these tournaments very important. So which is not the same at the highest level because it's difficult to connect to a team that represents just a few people or state or something like that. This is a lot more visceral. This I found very important.
Yeah, then going forward, one more question was we already was having this discussion while we were there sitting there, that in many regions the football is tied to the identity and migration and even political history of that particular place.
Yeah.
That while traveling, did you see that in some places football was even bigger than a sport. I mean, like it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
not just a sport;
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
more than that. Did you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
give any say anything about that? I mean, like any experiences that you had?
Yeah, so this is again, people, especially politicians, they like to say that sports and politics should not mix. That is, nothing happens in a vacuum. It mixes everything: sports, politics, art, music. Everything is sort of mixed. So if you go to Calcutta, for example, you had the whole Goti Bengal rivalry, which is from the immigrants from East Bengal, which is Bangladesh now, and the Ghotis were Hindus who lived in Calcutta. So when they came in, there was this huge issue, right? Like an immigrant wave had come. People who immigrated didn't feel they belonged because there was a lot of othering that happened both ways or whatever. So they found a team called East Bengal to represent their interests or represent their people. So when East Bengal wins, they feel like they won, right? So for a community that is struggling, any hope is great hope, right? So that's why in Barcelona is more than a club is their motto, right? Because it's a Catalan identity. So that you see in Calcutta for generations, right? Violence happened, people were killed, people hurt, and many things have happened over time in Calcutta alone. More than Sporting, another team, which is the third one in Calcutta, has a whole other sort of history with the Muslim League and all that kind of stuff. So you have. This is not an ethnic rivalry, it's more of a same group of people that may be slightly divided in some sense, cultural difference maybe. But you go to Northeast and say Nagaland, they have 16 or 17 tribes who don't speak to each other in the same language. They speak a language called Nagamese, which is like a lingua franca. They have political differences all over. That whole every district, I think a lot of the district has a dominant tribe. So Angamis in Kohima, Aos in Mokukchung, Konyak tribe in Mon district. So they all have different places where they come from and they have their differences. They'll make fun of each other. Like somebody told me, Ao and Angami are playing, the ball is not going to land on the floor today. They're basically going to kick is what they're saying up. So it's stereotyping and funny and all, but there is an undercurrent of something there. So when Mon district won the inter-district tournament in Nagaland, inter-district, not state, not national level, nothing, just district tournament. So Konyak tribes from Mon district, which is a sort of border district to Burma, to Myanmar. The story is that Chief Minister's house front is in India, back is in Myanmar. So the Konyak tribes are the ones there. So they are sort of forgotten about or pushed away or not given enough resources politically, and all that is the general consensus. So last year they won the Tiao inter-district tournament. Tiao is the first independent captain of India. He came from Nagaland. So they came and started playing, and everybody, once my team is out, everybody is supporting Mon because it's such a nice story. And they started singing this Konyak love song in the stands, because it's something to do with love and waiting and all. So they are also singing about waiting to get appreciated because the team is going to win. So they won the tournament. It was like this huge celebration. The local government gave a district-wide holiday because they won an inter-district tournament. So that's how much it means to people there. So all over you'll find some versions of this. In Kerala also you'll find this kind of arguments and differences and all. So yeah, it's clearly more than a sport. It's a way of life for a large number of people. You are a Chelsea fan. I am also a Chelsea fan. We had a horrible year. I have not been to London, and still it hurts me when my team loses, right? For no reason.
Yes. I've been a fan for almost 20 years, so yeah, it hurts thinking about this year. Okay, I mean so from this book, actually, I learned a lot about football from Kerala, especially, and from Northeast. Because I knew a lot of things from Bengal, but the other stories I was not very aware of that. But while coming to, before coming here in Bangalore, when I was in Kolkata, I was doing my engineering degree. So most of the fields that we had there were grass fields. I had never seen a turf there before. Before coming to Bangalore. So one of my personal question was that Football is in nowadays football is moving more towards paid turfs and the open grounds. So, do you think this affects the democratic nature of football in India, especially in the urban side of India?
It's the clear answer is I don't know yet, because we don't have the results, because turfs have only started coming in the last 5-10 years. But I think there is a huge impact, because the moment you have turf, you need to pay an admittance fee, right? You have to pay, even if it's 10 rupees, for you to play every day for 30 days. For footballers or professional footballers often come from the lower rung of society, right? For them, it's a hurdle right off the bat. And empty spaces are where you can train me, one day, let's say I go for training 3 days or 4 days a week. And then what happens at home is important, right? I need to play with friends in the neighborhood in empty parks, because that is where you learn. Because the idea is for you to learn and then implement and then correct and then implement and then correct. That's the way, right? 4 times if you do the same mistake, then 5th time you'll learn. That's how you have to do this. A lot of this happens in informal playing. Turfs are going to take that away. Lack of empty spaces is going to take that away. This is a big problem in the major cities. But I was a little alarmed to see, even in Imphal and stuff, when I was there, turfs have come up. There are turfs in Mizoram now, which is not a thing. Like recently I got a message from somebody in Mizoram saying, can you connect me to a person who sells turfs? Because they are setting up a new thing. So it is going to have a issue unless somebody tries to do it for, let's say, you can have pay and play model for X number of hours, but morning and evening certain hours have to be for community play. That has to be something that people have to have foresight and help and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it will happen. Like you look at Bangalore, for example, the number of academies, the number of turfs have gone is significantly high. So essentially what is happening is people are paying to play. Whether those kids will now become a professional footballer is questionable, because as is only a very small fraction of people who play football can play professional, and often that does not come from the upper middle class and further up. So now a lot of the kids playing are from that disposable income family who can do that stuff. So I don't know how that will affect. Maybe that is the next generation of players who come from that financial strata. It could be something we'll see maybe 10-15 years down the line. But yeah, it will change, and it's not good or bad, it's just change.
Now I think I will go to the questions that I think most of the Indian fans they love to ask. I think today itself I was having discussion with these two people sitting there, Uttam and Subhadeep. So about what about Indian football? Like after all this thing, whatever you have seen in different states, why the condition of Indian football is in this bad state with the previous histories that we had, why it's going down and going down for a long time?
Yeah, so previous history, it's a little bit of a red herring, because Olympics and all are amateur tournaments. So let's be doing well in Olympics is great, but there are certain restrictions that come with it, even the Asian Games and all that. So the answer is corruption and inability to do right things. Associations for years have had corruptions going on, and even right now, right, the state of football right now in India is very, very bad. In terms of, do we have a league next year? Are the clubs going to continue and all that kind of stuff? It's at some level we have to figure out how to find Indian solutions for Indian problems. So first problem is lack of game time, where the young kids have to play X amount of games. So Japan in 1990 decided that we have a 100-year plan for winning the World Cup, and they have young kids play 52 games or 48 games per year. So that is preparation, performance, and then recovery, and rinse and repeat, and training in between, so on and so forth. Japan now, this last 2 years have beaten everybody, Brazil, England, Germany, and they look really good for the World Cup. I don't think they'll win the World Cup, because only few teams have actually won the World Cup, same teams keep winning, but they can get to a quarter final or semi final. This is just 30 years in the 100-year plan. So the thing is, 100 years plan was made by people in their 50s and 60s who are 100% sure that they are not allowed to, they won't be around to see the success of the team, because it's a long-term vision. Here we need, in my tenure I need to do something to make some headlines. It's very simple. I will sign up some MOUs, I will send my team to play. Now India is going to play in England right now, right?
Yes.
Half the team is not traveling because Mohan Bagan pulled the players. So this kind of ridiculous things keep happening. Nobody is trying to pull, everybody is pulling in different ways. The funny thing, today I just saw a tweet from an ex-football administrator who was part of AIFF, and I had tweeted back to him saying, he said all these fans will come now and tweet about World Cup and criticize, all this armchair fans will come and say why Indian football is not there, and you'll give an opinion, whatever. Basically that kind of tweet. I was just sort of, annoying. Went and said, fans have a right to ask, right? Whether I am an armchair fan or a very, fan who cares about the game, they ask a question, you know the answer, so fix it. So don't pretend like fans are the issue, right? Fans have to pay money, they have to spend time, they have to put effort to watch games. But you need to give them something to ensure that they continue to do this. If you don't do that, they will die. And one good thing is India is so huge that even if only these 10 states that are covered, you can add Sikkim also to it, 11. If these 11 states play football, it's enough, we'll get players, because our population is so high, we don't need the whole country to play. You get one generation of players who can go and qualify for Asian Cup and say, get to a semi-final or a quarter-final, some luck, whatever it is. Then the inspiration comes, right? You see the sort of change that comes over a period of time. Nothing is like immediate. Vietnam is really improving, it's a small country. But they're really improving because they're doing the right things. Indonesia is starting to do well. So why are Curaçao qualified for the World Cup, right? So these countries are able to qualify and play. Why India is not doing it is purely because of administrative redundancies. Yeah, I won't blame any fan or any player. No.
Being a sports journalist, what is your hope for Indian football? And
not a very glass half full person. But I see when I travel the kind of people who are putting in, the number of people who are putting in effort to help Indian football, help their locality football, not particularly Indian football at large, for the kids to have a chance. So in Mizoram you go and see these border states where there is drugs and alcohol and all this. They actively promote sport, not just football, anything to ensure that they are told about physical fitness and not going into these social evils, not drinking, not doing drugs and all these things. They're actively putting an effort to do that, and they are training and they are giving rehab. If somebody has a problem, they look after each other. That makes me feel optimistic. But I know that these players who are really good will come to a level and there will be a political impact for some reason or the other, and that's where we lose players. There are some players who are always picked in the top divisions, who maybe it's time to move them along and get the next generation in. Not the top players, the one in the middle level. So why don't we do that is an interesting question. And we also hype a lot of things for no reason. I'm sure you would have seen on social media something or the other happens and we win a small cup somewhere and immediately it's so what a phenomenal achievement. SAF tournament and all, India should be winning. There's nobody much in SAF. It's not a thing that we should be celebrating. And under 23 team should go for SAF. And the top team should go and play somewhere else. But this is not just me saying, everybody knows this. I am not reinventing the wheel. People in the federation know this, people like me who wrote about this know this, fans know this, players know this, but nothing happens.
So about this, one question I wanted to ask was, as being part of this institution like IISc, like the football lovers from IISc, what we can do to kind of preserve the Indian football culture or to move it forward?
Yeah, I see. This only thing people here can do is watch and support. Unless anybody is talented enough to make it, please go and play. You can come back to science after 35. You retire and come back. Dr. Telimilan Ao, who I mentioned about, he was born in Mokokchung in Nagaland, which is like this. At the time there was no Nagaland. It was Naga Hills in Assam. He came to Guwahati to study got scouted because he was playing, got scouted by Guwahati Town Club, and then went on to play for Mohan Bagan, and then went and played for the national team in the Olympics. He was a flag bearer for India at the Olympics. He was so good that Arsenal offered him a contract. They said, can you play for us for a couple of years? But he said, no, I made a promise to my father to finish my medicine. I will be a doctor, that's what he wanted. So I'm going to go back home. He was already 30 or something at that time. He said, I'll go back home. And he came back to India, had a great career, whatever. But so you can always return to education is what I'm saying. But generally speaking, yeah, please watch the game. If you go to the stadium and watch football, it's an experience that you will not forget. And I am here, so you can ask me which games to go for. I will pick the best sort of game which has some edge to it, no? So that you can experience the atmosphere and everything. Once you go and watch the game in real life, you'll start following. And stories in Indian football are like unbelievable. There is one other guy, Shiloh Malsam Tlanga. He's from Mizoram. We call him Mama because when he was playing in Calcutta, they couldn't do Malsam Tlanga because the pronunciation is hard, so they used to call him Tulunga. So it's just that we call him Mama now. So Mama was born in Mizoram, 1990, early 90s. He was scouted by Tata Football Academy. And then he was the first Mizoram player to go out and make it. Like he played for East Bengal and played for the national team. So till then Mizo players never came out. They didn't really come out to the mainland. They had this relationship with India where they were bombed. There was insurgency. 86, in the mid 80s or early 80s, Mizoram was bombed. The only time an Indian, there has been bombing from flight in an Indian territory by an Indian government is in Mizoram. So they didn't have any great feelings. So even now if you go and talk to the older generation, they don't really have a lot of great feelings or good memories because they suffered this issue. Because in the 1950 there was a Mautam, which is a famine that is caused by bamboos blooming, and all the rats come, and then the entire grain was destroyed. So there was famine, and they tried to seek help from the government. They didn't get any. So they formed a Mizo National Famine Front, which later became Mizoram's political movement for independence and so on. So when Mama came out, nobody really came out and played, and he was the first one. Since he came out and succeeded, there has been a stream of players who came from Mizoram. Just after him, there was Rindika who came, and then Rindika saw Mama in a Boomer chewing gum ad in Mizoram, and he's like, if he can make it, because he's from Lunglai, which is where Mama is also from. If he can make it, I also can make it because we are from the same place. So that guy came, and now Changpe is also from Lunglai. He is the best player in the country right now. You had JJ Lalpaklua who came from Nathial, which is even further away from this mainland. So you have this bunch of players who just followed because one guy came. And what it also did is, Mizoram older generation saw their youngsters and the people from their neighborhood go and play for India. So even now if you go and talk to people in Northeast like Nagaland and all this, they'll talk about, I went to India. So it's like a different country type of a thing, although they know they're part of India. That's the kind of mentality they have, because there's a racism towards them, and you see stories about recently something happened in Delhi with the women, and there was a kid who was killed from Arnab, I think. So this racism was always there. No? So when these older generations saw their kids go and play, suddenly that feeling of, we are also Indians started to creep in. So football in that way has done a lot to bring people of these frontier area, like Mizoram especially, to India, right? Same way in, so actually to be fair, there was an old player from Mizoram who played for national team in the 70s. He was a goalkeeper who lived most of his life in Burma and then just came here at the end of his career. He played, but because the social and political situation was bad, didn't really inspire the next generation to pick up. So the timing is also important. And you had in Manipur, there was a bunch of players who played for Assam before Manipur was a thing. A lot of players from Ukhrul district, which is the Thankul Nagas living in Manipur. But the first modern star was Kiran Kongsai, who was a Kuki player. He came and played for the national team and became the first stars, and these next generation of players saw him And then came, so Ranadi Singh came, Gormangi, Tomba Singh, all these people started coming and started doing really, really well. So they all started playing for India. So they found a way to, and it's also a conflict-ridden area, right? So they had conflict in the 90s, they had conflict before, they have a conflict now. It's a way for them to get out. I play football, I can leave, make money, leave the uncertainty of the life here. So that's so ingrained in them. So you see Manipuri players everywhere. They are everywhere because they are desperate for success. You don't have the same desperation in Kerala because our political and the social life is different. So this cookie player comes and inspires a generation of Maithis. All the other players I mentioned are Maithei players. So these are tribes who are fighting now, but they have done so much for each other, like in terms of helping out, and there's a way to live. And football, often sports, shows a way that how you can come together, be inclusive, and so on and so forth. So Indian football, once you start sort of looking into the stories, there are dime a dozen stories. I've done some in the book, obviously. I would love to travel around and find more local legends, and maybe do a book like that later. We'll see. But yeah, once you like it, then there is no escape. I take all my friends to the uninitiated friends to one football game every season, and they all start following on Instagram, and they'll text me saying, "Oh, this guy is not playing well. Ashik's cross is not good enough." So all these things keep happening. Ashik's cross is fine. I don't know why he said that, but yeah, that's just my thing. If you just see the game, you'll just fall in love in some way.
Yeah, I mean, like being in this, like being in IISc as a student is very hectic. I think they'll also, like, most of the people will also agree to that. So, like, I have been to some games here in Bangalore. I think the SAF final that happened.
Full stadium, right?
Yeah, that I went to, and I think some of my friends also.
Yeah.
I know some of the Bengalis, they go for this matches in, I think in ISL for this Mohan Bagan versus Bangalore. They go for that.
But this, you saw the final, SAF final.
Yes.
So it was a penalty shootout, right?
Yes,
in the end?
yes.
30,000 people?
Yes.
And they were all singing Vande Mataram, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what level of nationalism everybody has, but that is a feeling. When the entire crowd is invested in this one guy walking from half line to kick the ball, it's pure drama. Like, you are just waiting. There's so much riding on it. It's a feeling that you get. Yeah, this is great. It was raining also.
Yes.
Everybody was in the rain. Yeah. It was amazing.
I mean, like, no, I was just coming to the question is the time that we have to, like, for watching the football games. That's one problem. Like, I was still again I was discussing with this thing with Uttam specifically, that he was saying, like, to improve the game of football, people should come forward and watch it at least. That's so. Our problem is, like, we don't get much time, and, like, whenever we're getting some time,
that's a cop out.
when we're getting some time, also mostly we go for some like quality football. So we'll say like European or Argentinian. I mean, like the South American football mostly. We'll say. So I think
you do that also. I watch Chelsea games, right? So, but some amount, because there is an investment from my end. Because I know a lot of these players, or a lot of them are from Kerala, so I feel like, I should support my family or my brethren, or when they play in the international tournament, I watch because I want them to do well, knowing full well the chances of us winning are, not much. But I will watch India against Qatar for that odd moment where India gets a draw in Qatar. You float for the next, half an hour or 1 hour. So it's that sort of investment that. You have to put in, but no time is not something that I am going to accept as an excuse.
Okay, fine. I think that was all the questions that I had from my side. Maybe he has some questions. I think he was asking for a long time. Like, when I said that I'll be going to do this thing about this book.
Okay. So, actually, like, my question was in the book. In the intro, you mentioned about the belonging. No, my question was.
Hello.
Oh, my question was like in the book, like what's the written there? You're talking about the belonging and identity.
Yeah.
So being a Bengali, we know about the East Bengal thing, Mohammedan thing. So, but we don't know much about the other state. But that part's briefly you mentioned. So it's not. And you also nicely mentioned how football is connected with the state's physicality and mentality. That was nice. Like I
Thank
had
you.
like I come to know really nice things about it. Like it's cool. Like I really want to read this book now.
Yes.
And like the question was Arnab is asking, it's a very valid questions, and like I really don't have the answer. Like what he said, like being I love football, that's fine, but why should I watch like Indian football? Why not some Barcelona playing or some other team playing? Like why like we always go for the best, right? So why like apart from that, okay, I'm Indian, it's my team playing, but they're not playing best. So why
That
I
is
should?
true. So one challenge sport in general will have now is the entertainment is no longer compartmentalized, in the sense that sport is the only appointment viewing now. Everything else you binge watch whenever you want, you can watch. Nobody's going to watch a match 90 minutes after it's over, once you know the results. You might watch the highlights, but not the match itself. So sport is a last appointment viewing, and it will have challenges from television series and other sports, and you want to go out and have a meal with your friends and all these things. It's basically how you ration your time, right? So I'll ask a different question, and this may not be the right sort of comparison. You love science, that's why you're doing science. Not all your science is interesting, or it's easy, or it's groundbreaking, right? You do the whatever ragadava thing that you have to do to get there. So think of this as the same. This is an effort. Everything else is an entertainment for you. This is a little bit of effort that you have to put in, because at some point it will become entertainment. Because if you go to Bengal, as you say, Calcutta derby comes, people want to watch that game because it means something, right? Now my identity is this, my identity is that. A lot of people travel thinking I am going to experience. This is one of the oldest rivalries in Asia, in the world. So it's there for you if you want to go and find the stories that will ignite that kind of passion. It's just a matter of you doing some digging. I love a team in Shillong. I have really no much connection to Shillong. But I love the team because I loved my time in Shillong. I loved the way they played football when I was there, and I liked the people working there. So I have certain affiliation or that association with that team. So you pick your team, you pick your whatever color and bang it to your mast, and then you'll put some effort. It's not the easiest thing to do watching Indian football, but it's worth it. Great stories. Great stories. We'll see great stories all over. But India, because it's not told very often, we don't hear. We always hear, rags to riches stories about cricket players and so on. So many in football. Forget the rags to riches. They come from all sorts of backgrounds and have overcome all sorts of problems. Women playing football. Imagine women playing football. I think one of the old stories is the first time that happened in Bengal, they played wearing sari or something. And the doctor said you should not play because women should not be playing football. It's a physical sport. And then when they wore some shorts or something, they were seen as not a good thing to do. So all these things they had to overcome, and now they are playing football. They are qualifying for Asian Cup. They are qualifying for age group Asian Cups. They are getting into the knockout stages of Asian Cups. All this in spite of the federation causing all sorts of problems. That's the story. Dangme Grace and Ratanbala Devi are two players from Manipur who grew up next to each other. Dangme's old boots is what Ratanbala wore while growing up, and they're playing together for the national team. And Dangme went out and played, I think, in Cyprus or something. So where they came from, and they didn't have anything, to be at the top of their field is phenomenal. Not just football, right? Boxing in Manipur. And those unbelievable stories you keep finding. It's one great thing in Manipur is you just walk around. Somebody you catch him and ask something, they'll say, I played, or my friend played, my father played, somebody they know, somebody who played national level. My sister got in an elevator with some lady wearing a jacket, and then India jacket, and she asked, why are you wearing an India jacket, who are you? And she said, I am a boxer, my name is Sarita Devi. And my sister was like, oh, are you famous? And then she's like, and then walked away. She is an Asian Games medalist. So randomly I met a guy who does skateboarding. Manipur is just filled with such people. Unbelievable amount of sporting talent and success there. So just scrap will find, and then some latch will come, and then you'll continue watching.
Thank you so much. Like what I also believe, like Maradona is to, like, whoever the big names, Ronaldo, Messi, they are, of course they are great, but we also, like, the storyteller like you made them big, like whoever write about them, highlight them, say why they are big. We heard about those things, so that's why we became fan of them. So like people like journalists, like who write about them or something like that, they made them who they are. So in India probably we are lacking of those things, who tell story about Sunil Chhetri or Sandesh Jiggan or Anwar Ali or things like that, from how they grew up. So I really appreciate you are doing that job for India. I know about the Nabi Kabade, he's not anymore.
Yeah, he's not there.
So probably we need more people like you to do this job, so we can associate, okay, the football quality is not that good, but if you consider the football quality and the background story, people like us became much more interested to watch.
It's always a story, It doesn't matter if Virat Kohli scores a 4 or he scores a century. We have to tell why it matters that Virat Kohli scored the century. Then it makes sense. Otherwise, these are just things people are doing, right? A Bolt ran in 9.8 seconds, very good. But when you say the pinnacle of human, speed, that's the level. That guy ran on sub 2-hour marathon. He just thought, no, you can't do it. And he's like, that's a barrier that is broken. 2 people. Because one guy went, the other guy also went. Because somebody was pushing. So where we thought nobody will go, 2 went in the same race. It's the same with sub 4-minute mile. All of these things were once thought will not happen. It's happened. So the idea is to tell the story, how with the great advertisement campaigns from Nike and Adidas and all tell a story about something. So I think that's our job, or maybe not so much mine now, where the newer people and ones who are working full time in journalism. Maybe more can be done, but hopefully that's enough here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
I have a quick question, if you can give the answer quickly. What has cricket cracked that football has not been able to?
Good governance.
Also winning the World Cup.
Yes, so if you look at the history of cricket, football and hockey were on top in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and so on. Then cricket, they did well in the 70s, played well against West Indies and so on and so forth. So West Indies were there fighting against England because, when they came to England, they said, we'll make you grovel. And for West Indies, who are a colonial country with the black population, it felt like the racism thing was going on. And so they went and peppered the hell out of England, and that's a legendary series, right? There is a great YouTube documentary on YouTube called Fires of Babylon. It tells a story about this. So India went in '83, unexpectedly went and won. It was a time when things were not great in India, but they were allowed to telecast the game for free. So everybody saw India's victory. And at a time when India was not doing very well, it was like a reflected glory for everybody, like, we won. So what immediately BCCI did is, next World Cup they made sure that it came to India. So India and Pakistan, I think, jointly did the '79 World Cup. So World Cup always used to happen in England alone. So these guys fought and got it. I think Reliance may have sponsored. Yes. Yeah, so they came and did this. Yeah. So then it became like, we caught the lightning in the bottle. Now we have to make sure that we push the momentum through. That happened. Then after that, '85, we had the very good team that won that World Championship, whatever, Ravi Shastri having a Man of the Series performance. So we kept winning. And the BCCI kept doing good things for cricket. And it reached a point where IPL just exploded, right? That is when politics, movies, food, all of them sort of came together. The movie stars are there in the stadium, there were people dating cricket players dating movie stars, and all these things sort of started to become much more commonplace. And the popularity rose and people started watching. And BCCI always ensured that the local tournaments are conducted, age group tournaments are conducted, There is a structure, there is a calendar, there is money given because they have the money also. There is money given. So I'm sure some of it is, corruption takes away whatever. But it ensures that all the state association has money to do something, and even giving sort of pensions for old players to make sure that people are interested in playing. The old Ramchandra Guha books talk about the number of people who came to see Ranji Trophy games in the Chinnaswamy Stadium in the 70s. Now a Ranji Trophy game, nobody turns up. But they are still paid 50,000 rupees plus per game, plus TADA and whatever. So if you get to the Ranji Trophy level, you get some money at the end, probably try and get a job, whatever. So, and then you can play in some of the leagues, Kerala League or Karnataka League or Tamil Nadu League and IPL, you make good money. So the governance is what made it better. You look at badminton also, they've done well. Since I think Prakash Padukone won, then Gopi Chand came along, he won. Then after that you had a little bit of lull, but we had good players, Aparna Popat and all these people playing, Vimal Kumar. Then you had Saina, who just exploded into the badminton scene. Sindhu went even further. Kidambi Srikanth and all these bunch of badminton players who are doing well, so badminton took off. Number of people who play badminton, recreationally, all this went up. So you need good people doing good jobs at the grassroots for a result 15-20 years down the line, which cricket has done. So I will never criticize cricket for taking away anything from other sport, because the other sports had a head start and you failed. And then not only did you fail, you didn't pick up, you didn't realize, or you didn't course correct at any point. So you reap what you sow is what I always say. Of course, cricket gets 1.5 pages in the newspaper, but fair enough. 1.5 pages worth of news is read by everybody. So at some point, you have to look at yourself.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
So actually, it might be a common question, but I didn't get the proper reason yet. So I need to ask you,
Sure.
why in India, in terms of popularity or let's say passionate about football, and particular region or states like Kerala, you say West Bengal or Northeast region, in there only football is a part of those people and all. Why not in the other regions? What is the exact reason of it? And the second part, what initiatives we should take, from the government or from the people of country, so that the pan India the popularity will be same as of Kerala or West Bengal right now on this.
Yeah. So it's a long answer. So firstly, why it is in pockets is history. So if you go through history, Calcutta football has a huge connection to colonial fights against the colonial power. So 1920 or 1911, Mohan Bagan beat East Yorkshire Regiment, first Indian team to beat a foreign team. And for them it was a big thing. For a group of people who are losing in life, to beat your colonial masters is a huge thing. The story goes that because there were so many people inside the stadium and then so many outside, they were flying kites to show the score. Because that many people are, out about and waiting to know the score. Because they are outside, there's no commentary, they didn't know. So that sort of history and the rivalries that was there with the Goti Bengal and the Mohammedan, it helped develop there. In Kerala also you have the northern side of Kerala, the Malabar side, which had this, football came through the barracks. In the southern side it came through missionaries and colleges and so on. So even if you look at it now, Malabar is more crazy about football. Because again, there was 1920s, we had the Mopla riots, which was again a huge uprising, anti-colonial. And in part of that, they used to play, that football became a part of those. So there is one really rancid story about one of the top officials in England getting his head chopped off and the rabid crowd kicking it around and stuff. But yeah, so they go on. And MSP, Malabar Special Police, was introduced to keep peace in this region. And Malabar, they would play against the locals to keep a tab on the miscreants. So you're playing against them, you want to beat them. That kind of fiery nature is there. So all this reason will give you, why football is taken up in Northeast is again missionary work, and barracks again, military again in Punjab and so on. So it grew up in pockets because that land was fertile. They had a local significance for those games. Now, India is huge, as I said, that we don't need the entire country to play football to have a good football team. But if you have a good football team, the entire country will play more. It's like a chicken and egg situation. Having said that, I think more people probably play or consume football than cricket in some sense. Because a lot of people play turf football, no? Even the people who are not playing, that much people don't play turf cricket. Maybe now it's coming up. And cricket also, largely, it comes from certain pockets only. Mumbai, Karnataka was always huge. Chennai produces a lot of players. And they have some Delhi, that side produces players. Northeast don't produce that many footballers. Kashmir, Kerala don't produce that many footballers. So it's just that the volume is higher, the visibility is higher, and the opportunities are higher. So they end up coming from there. So it's all sort of what sort of culture that you are born into, your environment, your development, and all. Even in England, not all the regions produce the same amount of players. There is like clear difference in, say, North Italy versus Southern Italy, or North Chennai produces footballers, Southern sides produces tennis players and cricketers, because it's an economic disparity. The Southern side is a little bit more affluent, so they play club sports. These Northern side, that it's more boxing and football and caroms and all. So we have this kind of, Haryana produces wrestlers. Almost all of your Olympic wrestlers come from Haryana. Almost all your badminton players come from Hyderabad. If they didn't come from Hyderabad, they played and trained in Hyderabad or Karnataka or these kind of places. Tennis, lot of them come from Tamil Nadu, some from eastern side. So you have pockets everywhere. It's just not more pronounced in football, because based on the book I wrote about it, but the similar trends are there in most of the sports.
Oh, hi, thanks for the very nice discussion.
Thank you.
So, I had a question. So, for many players in Cape or Kerala Sevens, a good match day fee often acts like a very good monthly income.
Yeah.
Right? So, do you see football functioning as a genuine economic ladder, or is it like a only supplementary that can barely change a family's trajectory?
It is very individual, because there are some really good players who never left sevens football, although they had opportunities. Ashik Usman, Shakir, there are examples of these kind of players who made it at the top level, but then left it because they must prefer playing sevens. So it's such an individual based thing. So that part is hard to say, but yes, of course, we should not look at sport as like a win and loss thing. I don't need to play for the national team to better the life of my family. So a guy who plays in the ISL, who never plays for the national team, would have made enough money that his family is fine if you invest well, get a house, because that's the kind of situation they come from. So you go to Meghalaya and the Basti players, one of them said they'll get 20,000 rupees for one game. So why would he then decide to go and play in a national, I-League or whatever, where you might get 50,000 or a lakh per month? I can just play 3 or 4 games here per month and make the same amount of money, live in the comforts, because the aspirations and the requirements are different for different people. Like Sunil Chhetri does not need any more money, right? But he is desperate to play because that's what drives him. Get better, do more. Some people are driven by money, some people are driven by achievement, some people are driven by something else, I don't know, fame maybe. So it's a very individual sort of thing, but definitely a ladder up for a lot of them. Like for example, it is written a chapter on Tutur, which is in the Kanyakumari district. They were a fishing village until one of them started playing football in Chennai. Chennai is very far from Tutur. It's closer, Trivandrum is closer. So their archdiocese of their parish is all in Trivandrum. So it's one of those border regions where they all speak both Tamil and Malayalam and all. So not many went to Chennai, they often went to Trivandrum. So until one guy went and made it, and then he got a job. So then suddenly they all realized, oh, I can play, I will get free education, then I can get a job. So they all started going. The Netaji club, they would play for one university and they'll get free education and they'll go up. Suddenly, Tutur is no longer a fishing village around. There are MBAs, there are engineers, there are, all the medicine doctors and all these people are coming from there, because once somebody does something, the rest will follow. And for them, it's all successful. Very few from Tutur has played for the national team. Michael Susairaj, I think, is the big one. The rest of them have all improved their lives. So after doing the research of the book, I feel like that is victory in itself. Newspapers always look at us winners and losers. Maybe we should have a little bit more of a loose definition for winners and losers.
Thanks.
Thanks.
We'll take a last question because we're running out of time.
Hello. So when we think of cricket, it's more about media or people seeing it in TVs and all. So should we think that we should make football famous so that media come across every sport, every tournament, whichever is happening, whether it's a national thing or state level? Should media more concentrate on that to make it famous, or should it relies on people, or it relies on like federations or such things?
So football is already on TV. It was in Star for a long time, prime time and all. Promotionally, I think we can do better to tell stories. We are trying, at least I have noticed this, to shoehorn things. Derby when there is no derby and all this kind of stuff. Organically, there are stories enough which can be used to promote. Promotionally, you can do a lot. You are absolutely correct. Fans need to know, fans need to care. For that, you need to tell them why they need to care. That we should do. But from a telecast standpoint, I think we are fine. In the sense, we don't have a broadcast partner at the moment. They're always struggling to find. Hopefully, they'll find one for next year. All that stuff is happening. But for last 10 years, the telecast was great. HD, under the lights, all things in that sense was very good. Maybe we should do it in a way that it's a weekend sport, not a weekday sport. So what that allows you is, you play on a weekend, then the whole week you can build up for the next week. Okay. So you have 5 days, 2 days for people to just recover, say Monday, Tuesday, chill. From Wednesday onwards, you start telling them why the next week's games are important. And then then it becomes ritualized. That's the thing that you need to do. That's why in England and all, you see 7th division of football is full. When there is a playoff, it's full. People care, people come, because imagine in England every weekend, 10 stadiums in the Premier League, 12 or so in the Championship, and maybe let's say another 20. So 40 stadiums are filled with 20,000 people or above every weekend. That is ritual. We don't have that. We need to develop it. It will take time. Yeah.
So basically, you say there must be more structured way of planning.
Yeah. And money and everything. Now we also have to deal with global warming, travel. India is difficult to travel. So can you structure a situation where if I go to Aizawl and play a game, I don't have to come back and then go to Shillong later. Let me just go from Aizawl to Shillong. 3 days later, I can play that game and come back. It's more financially useful for me, less carbon footprint. You can take a train from Aizawl, come down. You don't need to take private jets and all that kind of stuff, which big teams are doing. Not so much in India, but these are things that we need to think about. I don't think anybody is thinking about it, but it's easy enough to think about it.
So we'll call it a day today, since we're running out of time. Thank you, Sandeep, for this engaging discussion. I'm sure your book will travel a lot and make the sport even more popular. We have a small token of, and thank you, Arnab, for taking time out and for initiating this discussion. We have a small token of appreciation, and it will be handed over by Abhinaya from the Office of Communication. Thank you. Thank you. Please join us for tea outside. Thank you.